I am honored to be with Howard Smith, owner and CEO of Wilson Bohannan in Marion, Ohio. Wilson Bohannan is one of the most significant padlock companies in the world, um, probably the oldest one in the United States, 155 years old. And as this new season starts, that is talking about products in machining and companies with products, I thought that this would be a great place to start. That Wilson Bohannan has had their own product for literally 155 years. Normally, when you think of normally when you think of a product with a company, you're thinking of something pretty new, something that they're, getting off the ground, telling the world about. So this is interesting because we're going to talk about how you sustain a product. How can you remain relevant for so long? So, Howard, the first thing I just want to learn a little bit about Wilson Bohannan. I'm sure it'll be fleshed out a little bit more as the podcast goes on, and then I want like the 5-minute story of your life. So first of all, give me the quick scoop on what Wilson Bohannan makes, and we'll break into a bit of the history of the company.
Okay, we're a brass keyed padlock. That is,
Okay.
the components are brass or stainless steel with brass, steel, or stainless steel shackles.
Okay, so are you saying that all of these locks are opened by a key, or are some of the locks like combination or
We make keyed padlocks.
key padlocks? So
Key,
only
with a key, a key. It opens, with a bitted key.
so
That's what our
only
padlocks
only locks that take keys, not
locks
anything
take
else.
bitted keys for sure. But we also make locking devices for people beyond just making padlocks. But in the padlock arena, the Wilson Bohannan Lock Company makes keyed padlocks.
Okay. And is this still like the main product, the bread and butter that makes, most of the money for the company?
For sure. We started out making padlocks for the railroads in 1860, 160 years ago.
Padlocks for the railroads.
The railroads lock for switching devices for rail cars and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the turn of the century, the railroads consolidated and there were less railroads. And so we turned our focus on utilities and heavy industry. So today we make product for most of the utilities in America, all the electric co-ops, the pipelines, the transportation industry, for government, for the military, anywhere where you have a product that needs, it has a variety of weather conditions, whether it's freezing cold or desert storms, water, or whatever, a zoo that has a harsh environment with animals and things like that. We make products because they're all brass and stainless steel.
Okay, so you're fleshing it out for me. I just was expecting, originally I was thinking of, like something you put on your Foot Locker, or your just something small, a
We make all
bicycle
styles.
locker.
Right. We make a lock that's anywhere from 1.25 inches wide to over 2 inches wide. A
Over
hasp that would be anywhere from 7/8 hasp when the clearance on the top of the lock body to the shackle height, or
Mhm.
upwards of 8 inches. So we also make a cable lock. It goes anywhere from a couple inches to maybe many feet to wrap around something to secure something to whatever you're trying to secure, something fixed.
How hard are these locks to break, or you take a cutter and just get through it?
Well, it depends on what you want. You can be, there's different levels, no, there's levels of security. You want something that's a glorified seal, or you want something that's very sophisticated, has a computer chip in the key and the lock, which we sell. So
Okay.
it depends on what you want to spend and what your needs are. Is your requirement to be on a utility situation where you're telling someone not to bother this, to leave it alone because it's secure with a padlock? Or are you telling someone that you can't get in? We have a shrouded padlock that you can't cut through, okay? And a shackle that you hardly can cut through. And a steel chain that's square that you can't cut through. So
what if somebody, I mean, you see in the movies, somebody comes with like a gun and then they just like shoot the lock or whatever. Is that BS? Can you do that or?
Sure. What you're doing, that was one of the most great advertising with Master. They actually basically shot, a gun to a padlock. And what you're basically doing is collapsing the mechanism, the casing around the key barrel. And you can't get into it, but you can't open it either.
Okay.
So we faced that with a customer years ago. They took a magnum rifle to one of our padlocks and it did the same thing. And we won that business because of that.
Cool.
So it just depends on what you're willing to spend. If you want to spend $5 or do you want to spend 50 or do you want to spend 150? So
okay, and you have locks of all those.
We do.
Okay.
Yes. We have a product that has a computer chip and the key and the lock, and they talk to each other. And you can change it via a cell phone anywhere in the world, the combination, and they can talk back to a base.
I see. So it's a combination of like mechanical and electronic parts. And
right.
I mean, I would think, right, you have to, this day and age, it's not just going to be mechanical. So, okay. Wilson Bohannan, 155 years ago.
160, please. It's 160 because it's 1860.
1860. That is true. Yeah, I don't know how I got 155. I'll have to redo the intro or something.
Don't worry about it. You're fine. We talk about it again.
I think maybe I was like reading the website again at the last second. So when Wilson Bohannan started the company, he came up with a bunch of patents, correct? 20 patents.
Yeah. Okay. 20 patents.
And this was the time when it was sort of the golden age of patents.
It was between the 1870s and the 1930s. That was called the Gilded Age of America, with the manufacturing, with no restraints, no taxes, no government regulations. It was pretty much entrepreneurial spirit, on steroids.
I see. So it was a great time to start a company with a product.
It was.
And so then they started building the company, and this was 7 generations ago. I'm
the 6th generation managing, and my 2 daughters are the 7th generation of ownership in working the company.
Okay, and how did you get involved in the company? Wilson Bohannan is not your great grandfather, great. What?
Right. It's my wife's great grandfather.
Okay.
So Wilson Bohannan, born 1829 in Montpelier, Vermont. Starts out in Baltimore, Maryland with another person, and then eventually moves to New York in 1860 with his son Todd. And a shed behind their house starts the Wilson Bohannan Lock Company, building locks. And so I married my wife in the early 70s and started working in the company in the early 70s also, and that's where I've been for 47 years.
Very interesting. And so over all this time, over 160 years, locks, I mean, on the face of it, you feel like a lock is sort of a commodity product. There's a lot of competitors, or there are some competitors. I know it's not a commodity product, but on the face of it, it is. And so I want to know how the product stays relevant. So over time, how has the lock changed, and how has it stayed relevant? Do you have some locks on you right now?
I do.
Okay. Are these
Yes.
like the most modern ones you have?
This would be a picture of that was our main product back in
Wow.
the 1860s to the turn of the century. That was the first product right there, and that was a railroad lock. And all of our locks were cast. Okay,
Cast.
cast meaning you pour them into a mold, you put the component parts inside the lock, and then you you polish off the top plate.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that we made that from 1860 to probably about the 1930s, late 1920s. We came to Marion. We came to Marion because there was a malleable casting company, and there was a railroad. Marion had a double diamond, so there was a major railroad hub. And my wife's grandfather, Mr. Wilson Bohannan Tway, came through Marion on a troop train. Remember the friendliness of the people in Marion. So that was the reason we moved to Marion. But we started out, now today we extrude our locks. So today our locks are all made out of extrusions. So something like that is an extrusion. Okay, that's an extrusion.
Hold it up a little better.
That's an extrusion. Okay, so you can see
What material is it?
It's all brass, and brass is about 60% copper, about 40% zinc, and about 1% lead.
Okay.
So brass keyed padlock. We also make locks like this. It's a cable lock, where you can get all different kinds of lengths of cables could wrap around for people that secure things on a trailer or something like that.
Right. It reminds me of like a bicycle lock.
Right. And then we also have a shrouded padlock. Four sides.
What does that mean? A shrouded padlock?
Shrouded lock means there's a housing around that padlock. Okay, so you unlock the key. The lock stays inside the lock body. And like stays inside the lock body. This shroud protects the integrity of the padlock. You can't penetrate the padlock, okay, with this shroud. Okay. And what's called a shrouded padlock.
Would that one be something that you could shoot the shotgun at, or? You
could shoot a shotgun, it wouldn't have much effect on it. The thing it would do, but it would collapse the mechanism so you couldn't penetrate, you couldn't get into it. But it obviously would be non-functional after you shot it with a bullet or something. But you wouldn't penetrate this. We also use a square chain around this also. It makes it even more secure. So, wow. Shrouded padlock. So cable locks, shrouded locks. We also make interchangeable core padlocks where the mechanism comes out. You have one of those handy, Randy, or an IC core. So we also have an IC core padlock that we'll show you that it can. Yeah. This is an IC core. You have a padlock. You think that this is it. So what you do is you take. This is the padlock, okay? And it has a plug that you can rekey. So you can take this plug and you can put it in a door mechanism, you can put it in a trailer mechanism, and then you can have key integrity by rekeying this and putting this back inside the padlock. And you can pull it out. If you lose a key or something, you rekey it. So you protect the integrity of that lock versus having it compromise if someone steals your keys. And you've lost the integrity of it. And we also put blind codes on the padlocks also. So if someone has a blind code on the top of the lock, they can say, well, this is such and such. Our records will indicate that we can rekey that to that, give them more locks with that the same combination.
Okay, very interesting. And all this time, even with, so you say they have like computer chips and stuff in it, but all this time, it stayed relevant, keeping it mechanical because
mechanical is the basic heart of our padlock. Okay, the heart of our product, mechanical. But you add innovations like Bluetooth, so Bluetooth can talk to the padlock, or a computer chip can talk to the padlock. So you up the quality, the integrity of the product, but it's still relevant to being mechanical.
But in the end, are all these locks, they still have a key that goes in them versus like just a computer code that will crack it?
Right. Like we sell a product called an interlock. and they want to make sure that if major amounts of power is used somewhere, because they want to make sure that when that power goes out, that padlock always works, so it's mechanical. So there's
Interesting.
always a use for something mechanical. When you have a motel room or hotel room and you have this little your card and you swipe it or you bring it up to but the door mechanism that opens or closes that door is mechanical.
True. It's very
And a
interesting.
lot of these things can be compromised. They could be compromised. Because a lot of them deal with magnets. You could compromise the magnet. You can also compromise, and people can hack into, the digital things. They could be compromised. So those are flaws in those things where mechanical. A key is a key and opens it up and unlocks whatever you're trying to, secure.
Very interesting. Yeah. In a way, the analog, the physical thing has a durability that just some computer code doesn't have. So, what was I going to say? So when you're developing these locks, you have a significant R&D department in the company, correct?
We do, yes, sir.
How often do you develop a new product or even a new variation on a product?
Continuously. It's continuous product improvement all the time. We're always looking for new ways to enhance our product in all the things we do, so we have more relevance to our customers. I mean, we start with a basic padlock. We add the cable lock, which we add a shroud so it goes a heavy housing around the padlock. We add a computer chip. What does the customer want? So we go to trade shows. We go to maybe 10 to 14 a year. Mm-hmm. We'll go and we'll see what is our competition building? What does our customer want? We're the innovative. The customers come to us because they know Wilson Bohannan Company will build something for them. Whether it's an irrigation system out west where they want to close the irrigation system, so we developed a padlock, and once they close it, it shuts the irrigation. It comes down on whatever is controlling, and it shuts it off just because they close it.
Okay. So
going back to excuse me.
No, I cut you off. Keep going. What were you saying?
Or we go to when we first got unleaded gasoline. And so a lot of the, like Standard Oil and people like that came to us and said, we built this cap. It has to be in the ground, and you cannot mix lead and unleaded gas together. So we designed a shackle that had a loop in it, so that when you went down about 3 feet into the ground, you took the cover off and tried to lock the housing or unlock the housing, it had to have a loop. So we did that after the fact, for them. So we're the company that people will come to and say, I have an idea, I have a need. Would you develop something for us? We've done it many, many times. So
that's great that you don't necessarily have to come up with, I think people might be wanting this. People come to you and they tell you what the demand is, and then you come up with a product for them. And then after that, you have this new product that you can sell to other people, correct?
Sure. Yes, sir, because the machinery we have here can really make about any padlock made in the world in our machines. Our technology, we have machines that can make component parts for locks and lock bodies, and we have these machines that are CNC, and we can actually make various kinds of competitors' locks on our machines also.
And it's all vertical integration there. Everything is made in Marion, Ohio. It's just
yes, it is. Yes. All from raw materials.
All from raw materials, and then you assemble it and label it, everything.
Yes, sir. We do it all one location, about 40,000 square foot facility, about 70 associates, working from about 2 a.m. till midnight, 5 days a week.
Wow. And I mean, why do that versus outsource it? Even if you just outsource it in the United States, like I know one of the things that sets you guys apart from many people is that, from many companies, is that you are made in America. But why not couldn't you sometimes maybe make things more cheaply by outsourcing it to somebody else, maybe a specialist in a certain kind of part?
We lose that product integrity. We every lock going through our machines, every hour components are taken off the machines. No one has the quality in the tens of thousands as we do. We're known for our quality. And when we have a customer,
You don't think somebody else could do it as
oh
well as you?
no, oh sure they could, sure I mean sure they could, but we know what we're doing, and we can protect that
Ah,
quality because we're a job shop. Because we make products to order, someone wants something that we make it to their order. Okay.
so you consider yourself a job shop. That's interesting because most most of the time when I think of a company that is has a product and a brand, um, they're not a job shop. But you, in a way, are kind of like you have a product, but you're also a job shop because you tailor it to your customer.
Right, or the specific needs of our customers. So when we have our parts machine that makes component parts, and instead of making tens of thousands as you buy, you outsource to somebody who makes things for you in lots of 10,000 or 100,000 component parts, we can say if someone wants something to a specific design, we can design our machine to run 10, 100, 1,000 of those, and we can design that to fit a certain padlock for their specifications. And we can make 100, we can make 1,000. But when you
I see.
buy outsource things, you buy things with an idea to keep your costs down. And then you say to yourself, do I have to order lots of 100, 1,000, or 100,000 to get the best price? When you have a shop like ours and have quality CNC machines, we can
Right.
take that and make smaller lots, have less inventory, and make it a lot quicker for our customer and his need.
Right, but you do have, like, for instance, I know you have multi-spindles, like you have a Tornos MultiAlpha, and you have a few, like,
Two hydromats, two hydromats.
ridiculous hydromats that are like the best you can get. I'm sure.
Yes,
I don't even want to know what you paid for it. Um, Actually, that would be interesting to know. I'm assuming it's in the millions.
it is
Um,
some things for sure. We have two.
so you are mass producing some parts, but
Oh, for
you
sure. Oh, sure we are. Sure we are. Because there are maybe 6 different lock sizes, and there's variations of those lock sizes. Okay, and we have maybe over 200 varieties of shackles. So
mhm.
when you're the small guy in the room, you have to have a lot of product array for people because we fill the voids that a lot of the major players, don't want to to get into. So we have a
I
variety of
see.
product.
So you consider yourself a small guy.
I think so. Yes, we are. We're just 70 associates making, over 5,000 padlocks a day. So yes, we're a small guy, but our quality,
What about the competitors like Master Lock? How many are they making a day?
oh, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and
Hundreds
so
of
many
thousands.
times that we do a day for sure.
And are they doing like more customized stuff for customers coming to them and giving them quote unquote jobs as well? Or are they more into the commodity stuff?
They are. They're in the commodities. They're the ones that fill your Home Depots and your Lowe's. They're the ones that build, with distributors, massive amounts of
So
product.
you're not shipping your products to Lowe's.
We tried Lowe's, we tried Home Depot in the early 90s, and that really wasn't the niche we found was successful for us. That's filled by other
Uh,
players like Master and American Lock, okay?
so
So
that's one of your main secrets. One of your main, not secrets, but so I'm trying to break this down. So far it seems like you cater to specific customers, what they need. Um, you're not trying to tell them what they need. They come to you with a problem and you solve that problem. So number one, you stay relevant that way. Number two, you have quality control because you're in United States and you make everything in house.
yes, sir.
Uh, Number three, you're doing R&D constantly.
Constant
So
trying to striving to always make a better product for sure.
sure. What else are you doing to how has this company over 7 generations uh, stayed in the game? I mean, it's these are great things you're talking about, but it's really amazing how you can be making a product and remain relevant and remain successful. Are lately is business as good as it was in the past? Was there a golden age of lock making? Is now the golden age?
Once upon a time, go back 100 years, there were probably 60, 70, 80, 100 lock manufacturers in America. Go back 35, 40 years, there were probably 30 other lock manufacturers making similar things. Go back 5 years, it's all changed in the last 5 to 10 to 15 years. Now there's only a handful of lock manufacturers in America.
How many is a handful?
Handful would be +5. Okay, they like make padlocks. Okay, I'm talking about not just making any locking device, but making padlocks. There's only a handful left in America. Master, who was located in Milwaukee, moved a lot of their facilities to China. They purchased the second biggest lock manufacturer, American, and then they moved that pretty much to Mexico.
Love it. Well, it is still North America, but
sure it is. Sure. And they do a fine job. They're two fine companies. American and Master make great products. Okay. And but we also remain competitive with those people, and we also will make things that they won't do. They won't take the time to make 12 of something, or 5 of something. They want to sell in larger lots with their distributors and distribution networks, and to the Home Depots and the Lowe's and people like that.
So you've tried to do that, and
we
that
tried
just
for a few years. In the early 90s, early 1990s, we tried to do that. It was not successful. Our niche.
What about in like the 20s or in, way back when, 20s, 50s, you were always doing it customized, or were you ever
always were customized?
Always customized.
Yes. With over 10,000 customers, we have a variety of needs and people, in government and military and pipelines and heavy industry, utilities. We build locking devices and build systems for people. So if you're a utility and you have tens of thousands of product and you want some variation, you want things, and to say you're a utility and you have a lot of electric co-ops surrounding you, they want to make sure that there's key integrity for the utilities, whether they're electric co-op or the utility. And so we keep voluminous records, making sure that those locks do not interchange with each other. So we have maybe 25 different keyways, of which each one of those keyways has thousands and thousands of different key changes. So we can offer a variety of products for a lot of people. And we have our key integrity. Some of our keyways are very unique to Wilson Bohannan Company.
How do you stop stealing of your intellectual property? Or you don't, at this point, you just sort of accept the fact that somebody is going to steal it, bring it to China, so you have to just keep getting better and better?
No one ever stands still. None of us stand still waiting for someone to catch up with you. You're always trying to stay ahead of the curve. You're always trying to be innovative in product improvements continuously. So you do it through efficiencies and productivity improvements. You do it with the finest machines in the lock world inside our facility. You continually have great people working for you, constantly striving to improve and build a better product every single day. Never satisfied exactly where we are. And that's how you remain relevant. You put money back into your facility continuously with new products, new technology, new innovations. And yes, anybody can take anybody's, and then improve upon that. It's how do you do it efficiently and how do you keep your costs down so you may remain relevant to the marketplace.
What's been one of the hardest obstacles for this company over 160 years? There must have been some dark times.
Always. In a family business, you have, a variety of family members, obviously, and everybody wants to, be Uncle Billy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so we started out, in Brooklyn, New York in 1860. And then our first factory was in 1870, and our second factory was in 1880s with a foundry. At the turn of the century, like 200 employees making 100,000 padlocks and locking devices. So we moved to Marion in 1926, okay, to be more centrally located. We changed our focus from railroads in the turn of the
Right.
century, utilities and heavy industry, come to Marion. And so we have maybe, 30 some stockholders. And those 30 some stockholders, all think, that's the greatest thing, having Wilson Bohannan. And slowly we're able to buy back that stock. And then we had to, my wife, mother, and uncle were the two owners, basically the family members. My father-in-law dies at a fairly young age, at age 65 in the early 80s, and my wife's uncle dies, 5 or 6 years later. So he died when he was about 54 years old. So I've taken over,
It sounds like the royal family or something, and you're just
it does. It's
in line.
Both died at, at fairly young ages. So we've been very fortunate. Now in a 7-generation business, usually there's multiple family members. And that's what usually passes, into demise in the 3rd generation, because there's family inside and outside the business. We bought all the other people out over the years, and now it's just my wife and my daughters and myself are the owners of the company. So my wife passed away 7 years ago, but basically it's been my wife, portion of the business to go up to my daughters and myself. And so there's just 3 of us that own the business today after 160 years in business.
Okay. So yeah, obviously family challenges. What other challenges? What were some of the scary times for the company? Because there were
For sure.
160
So we
years.
started out, the 1860s and that we were relevant to the railroads. Many lock manufacturers, many, in the New York area, but we persevered. We stayed with the railroads, and then at the turn of the century, we changed our focus to utilities and heavy industry. Okay, so that's good. Then we moved to Marion in 26. We're a much smaller company at that time. Okay, and a different approach. After World War II, my father-in-law came aboard. He's a Marine, a CPA, and my wife's uncle. And they go out and they move Wilson Bohannan Company to another level. They improve the quality, they improve the machinery, and they also improve their focus on meeting the needs of all the customers. And so building upon those things, we just added and added and added. So now under my watch, I started in 1973, married my wife in 71. We met at Hillsdale College in Michigan. And I went to spend about 4 years in the Coast Guard. When I finished that, I came back here to the company. 47 years later, I started out in the accounting department for 22 years, and now I've managed the company for the last 25. So we have a great team of people. Our 5 major officers of the company have over 200 years experience in Wilson Bohannan Company. So we have a lot of loyalty. We build a culture here of family, and with honesty and integrity, and a way of life that's proved very successful for lots and lots of people. That's how the company has been successful, through our employees.
Sure. What are you most worried about in the next few years, and what are you most excited about? Feel free to answer them in order, or whatever order you want.
I'm excited about the opportunities of bringing. We have always remained 100% American made. We're very proud to be in the Midwest. I'm very proud to live in Marion, Ohio, and I'm very proud to be, a player, in the state of Ohio, and also, the lock industry, and also in America. And we're 100% American made. We've always been that way. So I'm excited that a lot of industry is now focusing on trying to bring this back to this country and employing Americans in meaningful jobs and rebuilding the middle class in this country. That's important to me, and improving our infrastructure to make us once again the strong, power player in manufacturing in the world. And
so the reshoring, yeah.
The reshoring is happening.
Have you ever considered acquiring another lock company, or have you?
We have not. We've stayed true to our core values of just manufacturing in Marion, about 70 associates. We grow our business through machinery and technology, but not through acquisitions. And
what if there was a company that came to you and they just offered you a gargantuan amount of money? Is there no amount of money that you'd go, holy shit, I have to just take this?
You mean to sell our business?
Yeah.
I get inquiries very often, all the time, with every kind of subtlety that you can imagine from people saying, but no, we're true to our family, and I want this to be 8th generation. I want my grandkids to be part of this someday. So no, I'm not interested in selling our business. And I take it very seriously, as all of our associates do, of building something, the best product they can in the world.
Right.
And
So it's not about the money. It's not about the money.
Not about the money. It's about how we better each other's lives, building something that's meaningful and useful for the world. And we're not for sale. We're proud of who we are. We want to be 8th generation. Realize there aren't a whole lot of companies in this country made in America 160 years plus. That's pretty unique.
Anywhere.
Yeah. And we're going to be honored. We're representing the state of Ohio, at the 4th annual Made in America Product Showcase at the White House on October the 5th. So we're going to represent the state of Ohio in that. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. So we're very proud of who we are today. So this is important to us, to think of all the lives we've touched. Think about your business, the lives you touch of all your employees, having a meaningful job for that person to come to work every single day. We take that very seriously. And so we just want to always be better at what we do and improve, never satisfied. And that's how and what are my worries?
Yeah. What keeps you, you're always looking over your shoulder, or what keeps you up at night? It's sort of trite, but what are you worried about?
I'm worried about the future of our great country. I'm worried about where we find ourselves in this political dynamic and the pandemic that faces us. I'm worried about employing all of our employees and having a meaningful job for. We're an essential business, so we've always remained open. Our 2 best years were the last 2 years in our history, and we are on a pace this year to be even better than the last 2 years until the pandemic hit. Okay. I'm encouraged that we'll get this solved. We'll get on the other side of this with processes and vaccines and things like that, and people feel safe to walk about again, and be neighborly with each other. And I'm hoping that after the political process after that works itself out, we'll all be better about true Americans. And want to make this a strong country. It's a great place to live and work. And we're the focus of the world, looking for somewhere that's independent and free, and has a free government. That's unique in the world. And
are you exporting your locks a lot?
All over the world.
Interesting.
Yeah, our product goes all over the world.
What was something you learned last week that was really interesting for you?
I learned last week that I think there's an attitude amongst manufacturers. There's an attitude in this country, despite all the rhetoric that you watch on television.
What happened last week that made you learn that?
Because you finally figure out, I don't think it was just this last week, it's a compilation of a lot of things, but it's constantly being reinforced by things I read and people I talk to. I network with people all over the world in my industry. I have lots of amazing friends in the manufacturing world, and I'm part of a thing called the Chief Executive Board International, about 35 years, and I network with entrepreneurs. We're very lucky. We have a uniqueness in our country of the entrepreneurial spirit. We have the freedom to do what we want to do, and that's bodes the spirit all the time. That we're going to survive anything that's thrown at us, whether by politicians or anything in the world. And that's what makes America great. There's no other country in the world that has the entrepreneurial spirit, the intellectual ability, the freedom to do what we want to do, and to buy great machines like from your company, and things like that.
Well, thank you. They have bought 2 Tornos from us, thank God.
Yeah. And we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh, good. Well, that feels good. So if anybody wants to learn about Wilson Bohannan more, they can go to, they have like the best URL you can get. They have padlocks.com for their company. And I really appreciate you doing this interview, Howard. and
Well, thank you for
wish
the
you all the
opportunity.
best in the future.
You know, this is what you're doing is very, very important, you know, to reaching out to people, you know, and getting a variety of topics and educating people to the things that are important, you know, and being relevant. It's a continuous process of learning. And through the internet, through the process of podcasts and things like you're doing, you're educating people. There is so much out on YouTube. There's so much good information out there. If only people avail themselves of it. We use YouTube all the time, you know, in process improvement and ideas, innovations. It's out there for all of us to choose. And that's what's great about having freedom, you know, in this country, that we can do these things and not be worried about who's looking over our shoulder, you know, who's going to regulate us or control us. You know, the opportunities in America are bountiful. And I truly believe our better days are far ahead of us. Infrastructure improvements in this country and new quality and new technology, always innovation. And that's what we strive for. I love building systems and building a culture that is meaningful for all of our employees and making sure we're relevant to all of our customers, constantly striving for new machinery and technology.
Howard, sorry, I saw that on the Zoom thing. I saw Howard, thank you so much. I look forward to continuing our relationship with your company and wish you all the best. I will.
Well, thank you so very much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. You know, what you're doing, as I said again, is very, very important. Thank you for doing this. And I just say, if anyone ever wants to know more about us, as you said, go to padlocks.com. But also, you know, we follow a very conservative approach to things. We're with integrity and honesty. I think that's the best policy. You always do the best you possibly can. Not saying you have to, this isn't the bottom line, that's what we're going to achieve, like so many big corporations have to worry about their, you know, every quarter. Just build something the best. And I think the best in quality with it, you know, and we're known for that.
Right.
And then the customer will come to you and you'll be successful because of that.